So this garden, suppose they're aiming for a realism here. So realistic, it doesn't have music, although real life sometimes it's not like music isn't a natural process, it's just it doesn't normally happen without aid, of course. But this movie seriously subscribes to the whole no music at all theory, if there is such a theory, and of course the hmm, so realistic that we see the old woman doing chores. Yeah, that's the problem, I mean, real life isn't very cinematic, is it? If you just watch someone doing chores, yeah, it's just boring mostly, isn't it? And talk of testaments and properties and selling of wills and is quite boring as well, unfortunately. I have watched once a French movie that deals about that, but set more internally. And I remember it being, so it was, but I don't know, there was something else to it. So as far as surroundings go, I mean, obviously it looks nice. The problem is the characters themselves, of course. So you could just say, all the older people are mostly boring. Can't say much else, although some of them do have charisma, like when the old lady said that she's too old to marry and such. So that's clearly there to elicit sympathy, and it does. But you know, mostly they talk about wills and testaments, and the children mostly kill wasps. So you know what? No one is sympathetic, honestly. Overall, mostly, you know. I mean, yeah, I just, if a bunch of people are boring, they're just boring. And if the other bunch of people are really psychopathic, then, you know, I also don't know what the point of this film is. It's clearly trying to go for a ultra realistic angle here, although, I'd hope, possibly, that indeed, in reality, children do not kill so much. Just, generally do not. I mean, it's unbelievable. They truly make it a sport, don't they? So yeah, one wonders then why that war did indeed happen 30 years prior, as they say it was in this film's timescale. And watching old people's legs from underneath the tables in quite what I call a very interesting film watching experience. I'm just saying. Although suppose the way it ended wasn't too drab. The children thought there were songs as well. Suppose that sort of matches with their obsession with killing in a way. I don't know. I don't even know if they know what they're singing about. Like guts? Eating guts? Like seriously? Could hardly believe the translation. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I just thought that maybe if perhaps one lives in such areas, possibly, there is such a lack of horror, which is why they were so surprised with that news that they were getting throughout the film. But themselves, personally, that perhaps the mind just invents it in the imagination and they create songs out of it for some reason. Then again, saying that, I think the song Ring Around the Rosie, although, yeah, it's not exactly very graphic. It is supposed to be about the plague, though. and yet they sing about it. So I don't know why you'd sing about a plague if you're experiencing it. But it's not graphic, I guess. Maybe that's sort of an indication of something there. Also, by the way, one has to notice that even though they live there, they continually smoke as if somehow living them living there that is so stressful. Um, but then I guess stress is a subjective construct. So sure enough, it might be proportional and it might be, yeah, this is going too far a bit, maybe, I don't know, for a mere film that in all likelihood is obscure, but who knows? There's always films that I think are obscure that aren't really obscure as such. Happens. One has, though, got to admire the sheer stupidity of, making their worst situation worse, in the last half hour of the film. Very, very, very admirable, very unbelievable. One would think it'd be better if, two species coexist, but no, apparently one species, usually one specific species, doesn't think it is easier to coexist, and only makes it easier, species. Yeah, anyway. And what the hell does one know? The nudist, of all things, loves Hitler, apparently. It seriously gives a bad image to nudism. I'm just saying, yeah. And anyway, yeah, so now we know there's a connection, between the children's killing spree of wasps and, yeah, because, I made that connection before the old, old wrinkly people ever said anything, but there is a connection. So they're not just boring. Ah, they're also genocidal. Who knew? Yeah, would have made short work of it, she said, or whatever the translation is. Uh, yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah, a killer catching other killers. Yeah, makes total perfect sense, doesn't it? Between that and the children killing everything and the boringness of wills and testaments. And don't forget to mention, as it happens, even though it's almost omnipresent, the them things going off, the engines, the whatever they are, three fellows, I'm assuming. Yeah. You know, yeah, all of that makes this film not quite as pleasant as it can be as usual. It's always people that ruin it, kind of like which find the general. It's set also in a similar sort of area, and of course there's endless human in that case slaughter, and it's always like that, always when it comes to people. Uh, Actually, at the end, it's leaf cutter, not tree fellers or whatever. Earlier, they actually used one that doesn't have any engine, so I guess they just thought we must be so realistic as to show people's laziness. They cannot possibly want to use the one without an engine anymore. It doesn't cut as much leaves, right? This is this is a docudrama. We must be noisy about it. Or so the conversation must have went. In German, of course. And yeah, as shown at the end, clearly the adults, so-called adults, are merely a conduit for the children. As in, likelihood they're mirroring them, and likelihood they, adults sung the songs themselves, etc. Even though in the specific, hour and a half only the children sing them. Quite gruesome songs, but at any rate, it's almost funny how they fight over it treehouse, and it goes over to being a larger fight over the whole garden. It's so bizarre seeing it play out. It's like, when that old lady there at one point says, "Oh, we got a slice of paradise." Yeah, oh yeah, very, very paradisical. Yay! When it comes to family affairs, yeah. Oh, a total paradise. Yeah, one says sarcastically. And sure enough, it is totally unknown as a movie, even though it was made what, like 2 3 years ago now. There's literally like a solitary user review on IMDb and a no, 16 critical reviews, critics reviews, but mostly in German, as to be expected. Uh, the one I watched, the one I read, wow, yeah, the one I read, I agree more with the user review here. It's not really a great book to study at all. They're all a bunch of idiots, really. The one on Screen Daily, though, is so idiotically um, optimistic. I don't know what to say. I mean, how is this supposed to be even anything other than boring? And that's the best what can be said about it because it's just pretty bad. I mean, and I can't believe this Daily review can mention the constant killing without somehow criticizing it. I mean, really? What am I supposed to expect and enjoy the constant killing of wasps in a movie, even if they're trying to say something about how psychopathic uh, children are that probably have psychopathic parents and such. Not that the parents themselves seem to be the worst. No, the grandparents seem to be the worst somehow. Not all of them either. Or just that one, but the parents and just argued over the inheritance. But even that, just it's just boring. I mean, was I don't get how anyone can see this and say, yeah, it's a beautiful film. Yeah, like that's the thing. If you exclude all the people, it'll be even more pleasurable to some of those people, and they're ugly inside and out, really. Mean, I don't know, just mostly inside. But uh, the point is, they're just ugly, and even if it's just you know, uh, it's not pleasurable in this sense, because it's just ugly, and it's not ugly in the sense that it can help people remember some things. Because what lesson do people learn after hearing these fictional people argue about some fictional will and testament and whatnot? You know, not much at all. There's really not much. So yeah, I don't even see the point of it. While varieties review incredibly annoying pop-ups, by the way. Yeah, but anyway, its review is bizarre. I mean, it praises it overall, but it still points out its defects, and yeah, makes no sense. I mean, it clearly has defects and somehow it points them out, but it still thinks it's fine. It's hey, as long as we, no, it makes no sense. I mean, the characters have a lot of defects, and they honestly ruin the movie for me at least, and yeah, that's it. That's that. On the other hand, a site called JB Spins, along with actually Variety, claim that it has atmosphere, and sure it does, but it cannot just have atmosphere. Otherwise, might as well just have the atmosphere. Just fill the countryside and such, and no people. It would be honestly better, and that's the thing. So yeah, in the sense, this one review gets it better. It doesn't have much of a a film, really, the movies. But otherwise, the characters themselves are just off.